What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams. Happy Friday, done with our first full week of the 31 Days of Disney. And today we're going to take a look at Stitch the Movie, the second installment in the Stitch franchise that we will be covering here this month, featuring the voice talents of DeVay Chase, Tia Carrere, Dee Bradley Baker, David Ogden Stiers, Ving Rhames, Kevin McDonald, Kevin Michael Richardson, Zoe Caldwell, Liliana Mummy, Jeff Bennett, Rob Paulson, Frank Welker, and Chris Sanders. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, it's Friday. Happy Friday. The weekend is here, and we are done with our first full week of the 31 Days of Disney. And today we're going to take a look at the second installment in the Stitch saga, Stitch the Movie. Now, before I get into this, this was basically the backdoor pilot for the Lilo and Stitch series that existed there in the early 2000s. And as our movie opens, Stitch is still not fitting in, and he causes another disaster. Lilo tries to encourage him by saying that he's one of a kind and compares him to Frankenstein's monster, which just makes him feel worse. Meanwhile, ex-Captain Gantu, who's in his brand new spaceship after his original one got destroyed when he kidnapped Lilo and tried to recapture Stitch, is hired by Jumba's former partner, a diminutive creature resembling a cross between a hamster, a gerbil, and a rabbit, named Dr. Jock von Hamsterviel, in order to retrieve the other 625 experiments. Gantu goes to Earth, breaking into Lilo and Stitch's home, blasting Stitch into a net, finding and taking a blue pod with the number 625 on it, and abducting Jumba for interrogation. Lilo and Stitch then take Jumba's spaceship and chase Gantu into outer space, engaging him in battle only to be defeated and to fall back to Earth. Back at their house, Lilo, Stitch, and Pleakley find the container that Jumba was hiding. Pleakley realizes that these are the other 625 experiments in dehydrated pods and warns them not to tell anyone or to put the experiments in water, as he is well aware of how dangerous they are. Deliberately disobeying Pleakley's orders, Lilo and Stitch retrieve the container and hydrate one of the experiments, Experiment 221, who promptly escapes into the night. Jumba is being held captive on the ship of Dr. Hamsterviel. Unable to intimidate Jumba, Hamsterviel activates another experiment, Experiment 625, in order to attack him. Now, although 625 has all of Stitch's powers, he is incredibly lazy and terrible coward who prioritizes making sandwiches above all else. Meanwhile, Pleakley is able to call Hamsterviel's ship via telephone. Hamsterviel tells Pleakley that he wants a ransom of the other 624 experiments in return for Jumba. When Pleakley informs the other family members what the ransom is, Nani proceeds to call Cobra Bubbles about the problem while Lilo and Stitch go out to find 221. When Cobra arrives the next morning, he seems to already know about what happened. Meanwhile, Lilo and Stitch finally manage to catch a troublesome experiment 221 at a nearby hotel with a glass vase, and they soon befriend him. The rendezvous time arrives, and Pleakley and Cobra show up with the container, not knowing that it only contains 623 experiments. Pleakley hands the container over to Hamsterville, who is shocked to find out that one is missing. Lilo then shows up with experiment 221 trapped in the vase. Announcing that she has named it Sparky, she says that Sparky is part of Stitch's and thus her Ohana. Furious, Hamsterville tells her to give him the experiment or Jumba will die. After several moments of thinking and hearing Cobra, Pleakley, Jumba, and Hamsterville persuading them, Lilo and Stitch get Sparky free and break Jumba from his bonds. On Cobra's signal, the Grand Councilwoman's ship rises out of the nearby ocean and aims several guns at Hamsterville to obliterate him. Lilo protests, saying that Hamsterville has the other experiments, while Sparky overhears this. Sparky then proceeds to use his electrical abilities in order to blow the power on the councilwoman's ship, while Hamsterville and Gantu climb back aboard their own ship with the captured experiments. In a last-ditch attempt to stop Hamsterville, Lilo, Stitch, and Sparky stow away on the ship as it leaves Earth. Inside the ship, Lilo and Stitch manage to swipe the container with the other experiments in it. The struggle for the container between Lilo, Stitch, and Gantu results in releasing the dehydrated pods, raining down and scattering throughout Hawaii. Having captured the two, Hamsterville reveals his plans to clone Stitch 1,000 times over and orders Gantu to do what he wants with Lilo. While Gantu puts Lilo in a teleportation pod in order to send her to an intergalactic zoo, Stitch is strapped to a weight just heavier than he can lift. Watching as Stitch tries to avoid being zapped by a laser for the cloning process, Sparky shows that he has reformed by short-circuiting the cloning machine. He then breaks Stitch free from his bonds, and the two strap Hamsterville to the device before they rescue Lilo. Having locked Hamsterville in handcuffs, Lilo, Stitch, and Sparky short-circuit Gantu's ship, causing it to crash near a waterfall on Kauai. Landing Hamsterville's ship back at the rendezvous point, they give Sparky a brand new home, powering the Kaluaea lighthouse, which hasn't ran in years because powering it was very expensive. They then persuade the Grand Councilwoman to let them rehabilitate the other 623 experiments. The councilwoman places Hamsterville under arrest, and Jumba whispers to Pleakley that he has plans for making experiment 627. At that moment, experiments 202, 529, 455, 489, and 390 are all activated, beginning the events of the TV series, and our movie comes to its close. Much like Tarzan and Jane that we discussed earlier this week, I feel like this was a great way to tie it to the TV series, whereas Tarzan and Jane, the movie kind of occurred after the series and used episodes of the series to kind of formulate a movie. This was, in turn, more or less the backdoor pilot. The events of this movie, which was a little over an hour, basically jump-started the TV show. And I liked that. And the movie we're going to get to last in the Stitch series, Leroy and Stitch, effectively was more or less the series finale as it tied everything from the series up. But I thought this was a great way to carry on from Lilo and Stitch the movie and transition into Lilo and Stitch the series. And we always knew Stitch was number 626. We always figured that there were probably other experiments that came before him. So making the movie about trying to find those, and then justly the TV series about trying to find and reform those other experiments, I thought was a great plot point. It definitely made for a good premise for the series. Again, much like I discussed when I did Tarzan and Jane, never watched the Lilo and Stitch series, have no desire to go back and watch it now. But the fact that the series contains the other 623 experiments and how they were found, captured, and in turn rehabilitated, I can get into that. Like if I had been a bigger Stitch fan when the movie came out, I probably would have watched the series based on that premise because it is the type of thing that traditionally would hook me. It's kind of like how people want to see one shots or a Disney Plus original series about Steve Rogers, Captain America, putting the Infinity Stones back into their places. We all know the events that occurred in Endgame and Infinity War and how the stones were obtained. We know at the end of Endgame, Cap is old and he passes his shield on to Sam, to Falcon. But there's a lot of people that are clamoring to see an episode or two. You can even stretch it out into an 8 or 10 episode series of how Steve went about putting all the stones back. And for all intents and purposes, that's kind of what this series seems like it is, because the other 625 experiments that came before Stitch, minus two, because they are unearthed in this one, 221 and 625 himself. So now the other 623 experiments need to be found, located, and rehabilitated. Here you go. Do your series. Great idea, great concept. When it came to Stitch the series, I thoroughly enjoyed it, as I'm sure you can tell. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Not as good as the original Lilo and Stitch movie, but definitely right up there in my opinion. What do you guys think of Stitch the movie? Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. And if you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. And let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below. And make sure you guys tune in later on this evening, right here to the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, and across the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media as we bring to you our live watch along coverage for SmackDown, live at Madison Square Garden, beginning at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Now, Renegade, why a watch along for SmackDown, you may ask? Well, pretty much ever since WrestleMania, I've been saying that Cody Rhodes was going to get the briefcase, cash it in, and challenge Roman at the Garden to complete his story, to finish his story. Well, as we all know, Cody Rhodes was not in Money in the Bank, at least as far as this filming goes. Truth be told, I am filming this on Friday, June 30th, one whole week before it airs, before the Money in the Bank PLE even airs. It's possible Cody Rhodes got inserted into the match last minute, won the briefcase. It's possible he challenged whoever won the briefcase on Raw on Monday night and took the briefcase. And it's possible he doesn't have the briefcase at all. But because I've been saying that at the Garden is where the story is going to end, we decided to do a watch along of it. Plus, It's WWE at the Garden. It's the mecca of sports entertainment. So it's essentially put up or shut up time for me. Does Cody Rhodes walk out of the Garden with the WWE Championship and finish his story or not? If he doesn't, I promised Noah and made a bet with him that I would begin to believe in Joe Hendry. Goddamn, I don't want to do that. So let's see what happens. But then don't forget to tune in tomorrow, right here to the Casa D18 Studios channel for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And we continue our 31 Days of Disney with Brother Bear, featuring the voice talents of Joaquin Phoenix, Jeremy Suarez, Rick Moranis, Dave Thomas, D.B. Sweeney, Michael Clark Duncan, and Estelle Harris. And then, later on in the evening, here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, and across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media, it'll be time once again for the Saturday night shenanigans that are Open Mic Night. Myself, the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham, the Simple Man Noah Foster, the Heeb Man James Hebert will all be in the studio in order to discuss the week in professional wrestling, as well as any of the extended members of the multiverse who decide to join us, step up to the microphone, and engage us and you, the viewers, as we discuss pro wrestling. You don't want to miss out on any of that content right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, across the Jeff Meacham Network multiverse of media. We've got SmackDown Watch Along this evening. We've got Brother Bear tomorrow, Open Mic Night, and so much more still in store as we continue our journey through the 31 Days of Disney. Again, you don't want to miss any of it, so make sure you smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live, as is the case with Statboy Sports Bar, Open Mic Night, pay-per-view PLE watch-along coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life, fans of Stitch, fans of DeVay Chase, fans of Disney animation, fans of the Lilo and Stitch canon. Anybody you can think of that would enjoy this content in this video, share it with them, as it's the only way we're going to keep my visibility up and YouTube's algorithms now that we are in fact a monetized channel right here on the platform. Thank you once again to everybody out there who joined me and tuned in this afternoon. It means so much more to me than you guys will ever know. And I will see you guys next time.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.